Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Presentation DNA. Now, since it's the week before Christmas, I thought we'd do a bit of a Christmassy tutorial. It looks a bit complicated, but it's just a couple of techniques repeated multiple times to give us this twinkling lights effect in the star, the church, the houses, and the Christmas tree. So let's jump in. It's going to be quite a long one because there's quite a lot to show you, but I'll keep this as short as I can. So let me jump to a spare slide. This is a good technique actually. I quite often keep any key elements, make sure you've got copies of those. You can always hide the slide when it comes to present, but it's just good to have a dumping ground for various elements. So here's my dumping ground slide, and you can see the basics of how I've constructed the slide. So let me just come to 50% so you can see beyond the edges of the slide. So first of all, we've got the sky layer, which is my background layer. If I bring that to the top, you can see that it's just a gradient. If you see on the right hand side here in the format menu, I've got a light blue at the bottom going up to a dark blue at the top to make it look like a night sky. Then for stars, I've just got, in fact, I'll zoom back in. For stars, I've just got one white circle, which I believe is 9 points. And I've got one which is 5, just to make a bit of variation. And then we're going to scatter those stars all over the sky as randomly as possible. We've also got the moon, and I got that from the shape menu and just typed moon. And that gave me various options actually. So I brought that one in, I made it a little bit bigger, and I flipped it. And then I just gave it a bit of rotation to make it point down the way I wanted. Now you'll notice that the moon that you get from that menu is quite a bit fatter than the moon that I've got. So I will show you what I did. Let me just give this a color. So all I did was I took a circle from the shape menu. So let me get rid of that. Let me also go full screen here. So shape menu, take a circle, make it a bit bigger using the shift key to proportionally stretch it. And then let's just go a bit of an eclipse effect. Make that a little bit bigger, hold down shift and drag a corner like that. Okay, now as long as they're on adjacent layers, which they are, I can select both layers, go up to the menu here, go to Format, Shapes and Lines, Subtract Shapes, and it will just clip out the moon so it's a little bit thinner. Go down on the size a bit. So roughly that's what I did. So get rid of that one. The star I also got from the shape menu. Again, if I just type star, drag this one here, make it a little bit bigger so you can see. But you can see I've got two green dots here. So the inner dot, if I drag that, it just makes the star more or less spiky. So that gives you a bit of control. And then this one, if you drag it down or round, you can see it gives you more and more points. So you could turn it into a sun shape or whatever. So I just went for 6 points. That's how I got my star. Oops, just make that. So get rid of that as well. So what else to show you? Yes, the hills, if I go back to 50%, these are just oval shapes, and a couple of them are rotated a little bit. So fairly random. All I did was made sure that this one and this one were a dark color. This one is a little bit lighter and this one is a little bit lighter again. And the reason for doing that is that otherwise you won't see that they're separate hills. It'll just look like one shape because they're all the same color. And then to get the snow cap, I'll just kill that. I'm going to duplicate that hill, make sure they're aligned, which they are. Turn this one white. And then I'm going to go back to Format, Shapes and Lines, Make Editable. And now we get these midpoints. So you can start to drag them. It's all a little bit unpredictable what happens when we do this, but it goes all kinds of ways, doesn't it? So what I'm just trying to do is make it follow the outline of the top of the hill, but then I want to curve up quite a lot. Yeah, and that can go in. So I'm not going to spend ages making this look perfect because I'm not that good. But let's bring that something like that. Just don't want it to touch the second hill. So do that. That's probably going to be good enough, but you get the general idea. Go back to fit slide, and you can see it's just supposed to look like there's a bit of snow. It probably should come further down, but you get the idea. So we've got hills using different colors so that lighter is in the foreground and darker is in the background. The trees, all of them are done the same way. This one here, well, I'll just start again. Take a shape, get rid of that. Take the triangle shape, make it a bit wider. Drag that up. Duplicate, drag it down, making sure it's centered, but just comes a bit further down. And then holding the Option key down, I'm going to drag one of the side handles. And because I've got the Option key down, whatever happens on the right will be mirrored on the left. So I just want to make it a little bit wider than the upper layer. Duplicate again and do the same thing. Hold down the Option key, drag, and there I've got that sort of Christmas tree effect. And then we just used a square. Center that up, bring it in, Option key again, just to make the trunk. And then you can see that on these trees, we've got a slight curve to make it look like it's going into the ground. All that is a circle. Bring that in, line up the left-hand edge if we can. Drag the right hand so that it's the same width as the rectangle. Drag that up quite a long way, bring it down, and there you've got the rounded bit. So then to make it a shape that you can punch holes in, which is what we're going to be doing quite a lot of, just select all the elements and go to Format, Shapes and Lines, Unite Shapes, and now that's all one shape, and I can do all the usual things. I can give it a color, I can give it a border, an outline, whatever. So that's how we made the trees. So we've got the sky, we've got stars, we've got the big star, we've got the moon, we've got hills, we've got snow, we've got trees. I made some party lights. If I just zoom in, let's just make this one really big. And all it is, I'll ungroup it. It's got two elements. It's got a black rectangle, and then this is just a circle with a radial fill. If you look here, I've used an advanced gradient fill, selected the radial option. I've put a light colored blue on the left-hand side, a darker, similar blue on the right-hand side to make it look like the globe is lighting up. Grouped it, and then I just made a line with the pen tool with a curve on it, and there you've got it, a string of party lights. So very, very easy to do. And then the buildings, if I just, sorry for messing about there, let's go fit slide. Buildings, again, simple shapes. So for the church, I made one rectangle for the main body of the church. I made another rectangle for the tower, and then I united those shapes. And then I've just got a rectangle with a dark red fill for the roof there, a triangle with the same dark red fill to be a roof for the steeple. For the house, in the shape menu, if you go to geometry, you can get this shape already. So just fill that with red, and there's the house roof, a square for a chimney. Then we've punched through some holes. You can see I've started punching, and this is going to be the key to this tutorial, is punching one shape through another. So if I use the church windows as the example, I'll show you how I made those. Again, they're not hard to do. Go to basic, take this, pull it up a little bit, take the triangle, drag that up till it sits on top, and it's the same width. Is that not quite? So again, Option key and just a tiny drag. That's too much. Oh, might have to zoom in to get that. Wow. Tell you what, I'll try and see if I can bring this one out to match that one. And go up. That's going to be close enough for what we want. Now, I'm going to bring a guide to the center because I want to do what I'm going to do next symmetrically. So I'm going to drag a guide there, and then I'm going to drag a guide. I'm just eyeballing it, but I just want those guides equally distant from the center line. Then with the triangle still selected, I'm going to go to Format, Shapes and Lines, Make Editable. And now when I hover over any of the straight sides, I'm going to get a midpoint. And if I drag that midpoint out to the side and do this one the same, I'm going to get a church window. So I have to hit enter to accept the change. Then I can drag away my guides and we should see a pointy arch church window. So then I just select both shapes, Format, Shapes and Lines, Unite Shape, and again I've got a window for the church. So quite simple, and I've just done a big one for the tower window and some smaller ones for the ordinary windows. So now I'm going to need to punch these through the building, through the first hill, through the second hill, and through the sky. So I'll get rid of that one. Now I already have my set of shapes here. So I'm going to group them just temporarily, and then I'm going to duplicate. Now let me just check something. I think I've already punched these through the building. Yes, I have. So you can see we've already done that punching, and we can see the hills through them. So do Z to reposition them. So I need one set for this hill, another set for the dark green hill, and another set for the sky. So I'm going to duplicate once, twice, and that should be enough. So I've got 3 sets now. Now, what I need to do is line these all up. So you can see I've got my 3 sets here. I'll drag them so that they're all next to each other. Select them all, and then I can do Arrange, Align, Center, and Arrange, Align, Middle. All right, and then I just need to drag them back so that, whoops, not the building, but these, so that they line back up with the windows. That's going to be good. Just going to zoom in, if you don't mind, and drag over. Need to go up one more. There we go. So now I'm confident that they're lined up with the holes in the building. And the reason for them needing to spend time getting them aligned is the holes that we're punching through the various layers have to be perfectly aligned, or this effect won't work. So now I've got 3 sets of the exact same shapes, all perfectly aligned. So I need to punch them through this first hill. So I'm going to click once on it, and I can see that that's the top oval. So I'll drag one set of the windows above the oval. You can't punch a group through anything, so we have to ungroup to get the individual shapes. And they've got to be on adjacent layers. So they are. So I can click the oval, and then when they're on adjacent layers, whatever is on the higher layers will punch through the lower layer. So I can just go Format, Shapes and Lines, Subtract Shapes, and that's punched through the hill. Now we can't see it because the other black windows are perfectly aligned with the hole we've just made, but if we're patient, it will become clear. So I'm going to click on this hill, that's the bottom oval. So I'm going to drag a set of the windows above the bottom oval. I'm going to ungroup them. They're on adjacent layers, so we're safe. Select the oval of the hill and go Format, Shapes and Lines, Subtract Shapes. Now we've punched through the green, dark green hill at the back, and the last set needs to go through the sky. So again, bring them just above the sky, ungroup them, select the rectangle of the sky, and again, Format, Shapes and Lines, Subtract Shapes. That's now punched through the sky. Now, just to get a little bit complicated about things, if I look here on the right hand side, my slide has got no fill. So there's no fill color, which basically means it will look black. So we're actually looking at the black of an unfilled slide here. but just so we can prove our point, let's take a shape, drag it over so it covers all of the windows. Let's give it a bright color and let's send it to the back. And can you see now we're seeing through the church building, through the first hill, through the second hill, and through the sky, and we've got color. So that's the principle of this tutorial, is we're just punching aligned holes through all the layers that we've got, and then we can do something about color. So let's jump to our finished slide where I have done something about the color. Let me go to fit slide. So you can see I've got apertures punched through for the windows of the houses, the windows of the church, the star, and the Christmas tree. Now, the star is the most complicated one, so I'm going to leave that till last. But with the church, basically, if I click on this square and say, come to the front, you can see I've just filled the square, again, using an advanced gradient fill, going from bright orange to a yellowy orange. And I've tilted it 45 degrees, and I've made sure that it covers all of the windows in the church. Okay, so I'll send that to the back again and just bring it up. So it's just behind the sky. So the sky is hiding all of these color shapes except for where the holes are punched through. So similarly, if I click, where's my first house? Here. Let's bring that to the front. With this, I've done a circle, and again, it's an advanced gradient fill, and it goes from orange to yellow, and I'm chosen colors there that are a bit more red because I'm trying to give the effect of firelight with these. So that's been set to a size that is the smallest possible circle that covers both of the windows. So again, we can drag that back down. And then the really interesting one is this one, which I've used for the Christmas tree lights, because here I want a variety of bright Christmas bauble colors. So again, it's just a square with advanced gradient fill on it because I wanted these lines of color. You can have a maximum of 8 color boxes along the bottom. You don't have to have 8, but you can't have any more. So you can just drag them off by dragging them down, or you can click just below the gradient and then choose a color to fill it with. These white markers on the top set the blend point between the colors in each pair of adjacent color boxes. So if I drag this to the left, you'll see the red color moves to the left. If I drag it to the right, the orange color in the left color box moves over towards the right. So you're just setting your blending point. But if I leave it in the middle I've got 50-50, half orange, half red, which is what I want. So I've got nice bold stripes of color. So when I send this to the back like that, they're showing through. And at the moment, each of the holes is picking up a slightly different color. So far so good, but if I just show you the slide playing again, you'll see that the colors are not static. So quick play of the slide. If I come down, if we look at the church, for instance, can you see that it seems to be twinkling? And I've tried to show candlelight here. You can see that the colors are changing more slowly on the house and even slower on the Christmas baubles. And then the star up at the top there is flashing very, very quickly. So we need to get some movement into the color. So to show you what I've done there, let me just go to my animate menu, get rid of my color picker, click on the build order. Now, here's the square that covers the church. And you can see I've added a rotation action to that square. I've set the maximum duration for a rotation, which is 60 seconds. And then I can choose whether it rotates clockwise or anti-clockwise. For this case, it really doesn't matter. And then within the 60 seconds, I can tell it to either rotate a number of degrees, or I can set that to 0 and say, make a certain number of complete rotations. So because candles flicker quite quickly, I've said make 60 rotations in 60 seconds. So we've got 1 rotation per second. On the acceleration panel, I've selected none because we want the speed to be constant throughout those 60 seconds. So we don't want to speed up and slow down. We just want to go straight in at a constant speed. This circle is how I'm making the star flash on and off. I'll come back and explain that in a second. And then I've got circles for each of the houses. And again, they're set to a 60-second duration, but this time they're only rotating 7 times in that 60 seconds. And then down here is that multicolored square that I just showed you for the Christmas tree lights, and it's rotating 10 times in the 60 seconds. And then what I've done is I wasn't sure if 1 minute, 60 seconds would be enough for me to talk over at the beginning. So just in case, I've duplicated all of those effects and they start straight away again. So when build 9 is finished, then we kick in and the exact same thing happens all over again. So I've got 2 minutes of twinkling lights, and I thought that would be plenty for me to talk over the top of. So that's why the colors appear to be changing, is because the shapes are basically just rotating at different speeds, and that's giving you the various effects. So the faster it's twinkling, the faster the shape has to rotate. So that being said, again, this circle here, you can see at the top, I've put it off axis so that it just covers the star. And I'll explain why I needed that to happen. And you can see here that, again, in 60 seconds, it's making 120 rotations. So it's spinning very, very quickly. So the idea is that they're all happening at the same time. So the square is triggered by the transition, and then all the other shapes are happening with that build. So for 60 seconds, all of these are going to rotate at their chosen frequencies, and then the effect triggers again. The eagle-eyed amongst you will see that I've got another group here. That was just a way I was trying to make the star twinkle. It didn't work, but I forgot to delete it before I started this tutorial. So ignore that group. So that being said, let me show you what I've done with this circle. So I'll bring that to the front. And again, if we click on it and we go to the format menu, it's just a circle with a linear gradient that goes, in this box, it's just pure white. And in this color box, it's pure white, but with 0 opacity. So some of the time, white will be showing through the aperture that I punched in the sky with the star shape. And some of the time, nothing will be showing from this circle. So when nothing is showing from this circle, I didn't want you to see the black background. So I've got an oval shape here, which if I bring that to the front, it's just mimicking the gradation on the sky. So when this circle, if I rotate this manually by going to the arrange menu, so when this circle is at this position, it's basically showing nothing. In fact, let me bring it up above. So you're largely seeing sky in the background with just a little bit of white. And we could actually play with that gradation, couldn't we, a little bit, and show more of the sky. So some of the time it should look like there's no star, and then as we rotate, it should look like the star is pulsing white. So when we get to here, it should look like a fully white star. Okay, so bit complicated that, but let me put that back as it was, and let's move both of these back down behind the sky right to the very back. There will be fine. Okay, so that's how all the flashing is happening. And then the last few things that I did, I just duplicated the houses. Where they're going towards the back of the picture, they get a little bit smaller. I used some trees, exactly the same as I showed you before. I've just changed the colors of the leaves and the trunks just to make it look a bit more interesting. But again, the nearer the front it is, the bigger it is, the nearer the back, the smaller. And that's it. That's our twinkling lights tutorial. Just leave you that one more time. So thanks ever so much for sticking with it. I know this has been quite a long tutorial, but there's a lot to show you. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being with you. And it just leaves me to say, have a very, very happy Christmas. Have a fantastic new year. And I'll see you in the new year with more episodes from Presentation DNA.